Assalamu alaikum. This will be lesson 2 regarding Tawheed. And let's now speak about worship. You know, the concept of worship, how you pray and to whom do you pray and when, where, why, how do you pray. When people tell you about Islam, they always say it's 5 times a day and they show you the postures, but they don't get into the intrinsic reality of why you pray this way. It's not just postures and times. This has to do with knowing Allah. And so in this small booklet, once again, stop and think. This booklet is over 20 years ago. I published and distributed this booklet. But I just felt after this Abrahamic faith, let's say, let's be polite, discussion. Yes, it's a discussion. I'm going to let you be the judge of your own belief system, and maybe this will elaborate some on why at this particular point in time is Allah allowing this, be polite, He's allowing this discussion to happen, of all places, in the Arabian Peninsula. So now let's speak about the Ibaadah, and I'm reading it again just for, you can say ease, for my ease and yours as well, because I usually do Arabic and Quran, but this time I'm just going to do English. Now, the word for worship is called Ibaadah, and Ibaadah comes from the verb abada, and it means to worship. So the word Abdullah literally means a servant of Allah who worships Allah. So you're learning a little Arabic here now too. Abd. Some people say slave, some people say servant. Ibadah means to worship Allah. And this will clarify what that means, inshallah. Ibadah means worship, to lower yourself in humility and submission. You must obey Allah in all that He has ordered, in compliance with Quran and Sunnah, which means the ways of the Prophet Muhammad. This behavior encompasses all that Allah loves, whether you do it in any form of obedience by way of words or actions, hidden or apparent. A Muslim directs all his words and or actions to Allah only. He is sincere in his desire to please Allah over and above anyone else in creation. If you do any form of obedience to other than Allah, or for anyone other than Allah, or anything, you are a mushrik. A mushrik means associating partners to another power. As the Quran states, whoever invokes another besides Allah, he has no proof of this. His reckoning is only with Allah. Surely the disbelievers will not be successful. This is Surah Al-Mu'minun, verse 117. Also, the places of worship are for Allah alone. Do not call upon anyone else. And this is in Surah Jinn, verse 18. So how did all of this shirk start anyway? If Allah's the only creator and we're the only human creation, how did this issue come about? The first instance of shirk occurred in the time of Prophet Noah in English, but I wrote Noah. Noah told his people to obey Allah and stop worshiping idols. But they insisted and they called Noah a liar. In Surah Noah itself, named after the prophet, in verse 23, they said, forsake not your gods. Do not forsake Wad, nor Suwa, nor Yaguth, and Ya'uq, and Nasr. These were the names of their gods. Because they were named after some of the great men of Noah's people. After their death, Satan inspired the people to create likenesses of these great men in the form of statues, and placed the statues in the public areas for all to recall their good deeds. They were not actually worshipped at first until such time as the correct knowledge was lost. Eventually, this practice was repeated when good people would die. Their graves would be visited. Likenesses would be made of them by various methods, and the end result would be some form of worship of them. This form of shirk happens because of the exaggeration of the value of any human, however good he was or is. Allah says, O people of the book, don't exaggerate in your religion. Don't speak about Allah except the truth. The Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary, was a prophet of Allah and his word. This is in Surah An-Nisa, verse 171. This means don't specify his greatness, raising him up in a position above that which Allah gave him. Take him down from the position which no one should occupy except Allah. This is a warning to all nations not to do what their prophets, not to do to their prophets what the Christians did with Jesus and the Jews with Uzair. Now, Uzair, many say there's no Uzair mentioned anywhere. Why do you keep saying the Jews and Uzair? However, after making research on this, I have pretty well determined, because I can't find anything else, that Ezra was a Jew who compiled the Talmud. So he was a very famous, and you can say literate man in Hebrew, and he was put up on a pedestal because of the Talmud, which is, you can say it's a commentary to the Torah. Many people like to make a comparison between the Talmud and the Hadith, saying that the Talmud is like our Hadith, which of course that's not correct, because the Talmud is ever-changing and the rabbis add and subtract to it at will forever. They still do. The Prophet Muhammad also said, don't exaggerate about me the way the Christians did to Jesus, son of Mary. Truly I am a servant, so say Muhammad, servant of Allah and messenger. He didn't want praise and flattery, as through this mistake the Christians began to beseech Jesus for help and depend on him instead of the Almighty Allah. Many ignorant Muslims completely ignore the order of Allah and his Prophet, Muhammad, and they do the forbidden. They do what the Christians did, and they build domes over tombs, and they pray at the graves of dead, good men. They go to seek cures and ask for favors. Some go so far as to say prayers at those tombs. And they say that they're better than the prayers in the mosques. Now, this is well known in Egypt. And not all Sufis, but many Sufis do this practice. And they have special graves that they designate as having special powers. I think that's enough for today. We're 9 minutes. And inshallah, you're learning something. This is really very elementary knowledge of Islam, but it's actually the most important topic in Islam, more than anything else. More than any form of worship, as in fasting and prayers and Hajj, and all of it cannot be accomplished properly unless you have the correct Tawheed. Tawheed, Tawheed, wahada. It means one. So we're going to concentrate on this. I think I'm going to finish this book with you, inshallah. And inshallah, Allah will guide you to the proper understanding of what it means to be a Muslim intrinsically, spiritually, from the matters of the heart and mind that La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, wa Isa Rasulullah, wa Musa Rasulullah. All the prophets came with the same message. Assalamu alaikum.